Chairman Wright, members of the school board, I'm here to inform you, give you some information with some updates about FLEC. Our Future of Learning and Education crew is now meeting weekly, every Thursday rather than every other week, just as we get closer to school. We're going to continue to do that, just to monitor things. On August 13th, last Thursday, we got together via Zoom, close to 40 individuals now. We added a new student, actually Mr. Leighton Gibson added into FLEC. He's been a wonderful addition. We got real in the last meeting. We talked more about our heart than we did about the facts, where we are, what we're planning, the approval that we've already gotten from you all on our instructional plan. Are we doing the right thing? Is this what we want to do? Unanimously, again, absolutely. The hybrid plan is where we want to be for our students. That balance of emotional health with physical health, which none of us have an answer to, and yet again, FLEC voted unanimously. I put it back to a vote again, just in case. Let everybody opened up the floor for well over an hour for people just to speak their mind. I let it off. I had not really spoken my heart yet, and I did at that time. I thought it was needed, which opened up the door for administrators, teachers, the students, and everybody else to just say we're nervous. We are choosing the hard road. The easy road is 100% remote. The hard road is what we're doing, and that we want that. The teachers, again and again, resoundingly, they want to see their kids. They want to know they're okay. We want to see them with our own eyes, not over a computer screen. Coming out of the FLEC meeting was a great suggestion that we have a town hall for our employees, us being administration, school board level, and building-based level. We are going to do that on the 19th. That's scheduled at 3 o'clock. We already have a document that has been posted on Google Docs. Teachers are already out there asking us active questions. So we're going to take a look at those questions ahead of time, also address questions maybe not, that just come out of the nutrition of that meeting, help our employees feel better about things too, before they start back. New employees on the 24th and our veterans on the 25th. So I thought that was a great suggestion from FLEC. Absolutely move ahead. Based on how that goes, we might make some other decisions on that in FLEC, see how the town hall comes out. From that as well, we are bringing parents back to school. You guys know that in our opening weeks to mitigate that fear of the technology that all of us have. That was one thing out of FLEC. We have great parent representation. They asked us early on, we want to be taught how to use the technology, so you all know we're bringing our parents back to school. As a part of that, FLEC kind of talked about, it's so hard right now to divide the instructional piece from the health piece. They're just so married together, and that's understandable given where we are. So, in reaction to that, we put together a little video of Miss Harris, yay, and Mr. Truitt that will be played at the back to school night, bring parents back to school. Just to, again, yes, it's instructional, but that we are still handling that safety and that sanitation issue. So we're just going to play just a small little clip, not all of it, of what they're going to say.
Hello, I'm Ben Truitt, Supervisor of Maintenance and Transportation for Alleghany County Public Schools. Alleghany County Public Schools takes the safety of our students and staff very seriously. That is why, as early as last February, during the flu outbreak, we began steps to keep our buildings safe. Just as washing hands is the #1 method for preventing the spread of germs, keeping our building clean allows us to keep our buildings healthy. Since the flu outbreak last winter and the closure of school buildings last March, the Alleghany County Public School System custodial staff has been preparing our schools for the return of students. To help prevent the spread of COVID-19, an aggressive cleaning and disinfecting program has been underway.
And he goes into some of the transportation, some of the health mitigations with replacing of filters more often, the encouragement instructionally to be outdoors, that flow of air, things like that. And Ms. Harris is on there as well. We will post this so you guys will be able to see as well. This will be part of the Great and Awesome webpage. I know you guys have gone and visited it, and Mr. Callahan has put together that just has everything on it. Again, just to try to add a level of, we're okay, we can do this to it. Just to let you know too, outside of FLEC, the administration, school-based and central office, we had a COVID tabletop exercise August 12th. It was absolutely enlightening and great. We thank Mr. Fong for putting that together. What came out of that was the realization that we did have some gaps with some of the health mitigation. We are now filling those gaps. For example, right now we're putting decision trees together or flow charts to help at the building-based level. This is what we do when with the arrows and who's called and where we all go and how things happen. And Ms. Harris and Dr. Heath helping with that. And of course, Mr. True and Mr. Vaughn, and we have some building-based administrators on that as well, and that's been wonderful. As we know, we've got some gaps here and there, and we're getting ready to make sure we have those filled. All right. The last portion of this, you guys already had approved, thank you so much, the instructional plan on the hybrid. I appreciate that last month. What we have now is the health mitigation plan that you guys have in your school board packet, but I'd like to review some information. I have Ms. Harris here next to me as my wing woman. You all know my degrees are in English, not in health and safety, and hers is, so I might defer to her on some things. To give you all some background information, we are following the CDC guidance that has been provided to us. The last update was August 11th. This is the Bible. This is what we are following. Our health mitigation plan follows these recommendations. Just to kind of tie the knot a little bit, the CDC, when you look at the Virginia Department of Health, it refers you straight back to the Center for Disease Control. The links just go back to all of this guidance. I'd just like to point out a couple of things, just to give you some information before we discuss the health mitigation a little further before you guys vote on that. The few things that stand out, CDC does not recommend the use of face shields for normal everyday activities or as a substitute for cloth face coverings because of a lack of evidence of their effectiveness for source control. We are still going to use some of the face coverings. We have those for the nurses. We are, even though it is a recommendation that you do not have to, we still have that in our health mitigation plan. The CDC does provide a very clear checklist for us as schools. The schools are reopening. They have cloth face coverings as recommended, and they have cloth face coverings may be considered. Just to give you a basic summary of this chart, which is pages long, the summary is if you can maintain 6 feet of social distancing, then face coverings may be considered. And if you're going to break that, then it is recommended. At no time does the CDC say mandated, required. That language is not in here.
Can I insert something right there?
Yeah.
So the Virginia Department of Labor and Industry, the Donnie, came out July 27th. And the language for public schools for that is, and we might as well talk about it right now.
Sure.
Is that, let me find it because I say a public school division or private school that submits its plans to the Virginia Department of Education to move to Phase 2 and Phase 3 that are aligned with CDC guidance for reopening of schools that provide equivalent or greater levels of employee protection than a provision of this standard, so greater than the provision of the Donnie. I lost my place. And who operate in compliance with the public school division's submitted plan shall be considered in compliance. So with that said, the Donnie is pretty clear on the requirement of face masks. And so my recommendation is, and that's how I read this, I think we need to have Patrick weigh in, our attorney, on the read of this Donnie, because I think the guidance with this and the unpredictability of the younger children they're not going to prepare to get their face mask on if they're going to come within 6 feet of somebody. They're not going to know it. You know, I really feel like face masks should be required.
And those
And you know, and you'll see that on the bottom of page 8, like in particular on the questionnaire, social distancing and the wearing of a face covering throughout the building is expected. I think it should be required.
All time.
I do.
And those are things, you know, actually for you all to discuss, and that resides on giving you facts.
Right. And we can
Whether I agree or disagree, I'm not going to say.
we can have Patrick weigh in on the Department of Labor and Industry requirements and how that crosswalks and what it says as far as expectations. But to me, what that's saying is your plan is approved if you've submitted it, and it's at least what the Dolly says, not less. So Patrick, are you on there?
I'm here.
Could you hear what I said?
I can hear a little bit about the Department of Labor.
Yes, I was talking about I wanted your weigh in on the use of face masks and how it correlates with the Department of Labor and Industry requirements in Virginia that went into effect July 27th.
Sure. As we sit here today, there is no law on the books either requiring or not requiring face coverings. What we have are guidance documents from agencies. Each Morgan references the Department of Labor, which relies heavily on the CDC guidance. And then we have the Virginia Department of Education guidance, which also references the CDC guidance. And one other area, which I couldn't hear the speaker, but and I want to make sure that the board is fully aware of what your local health director is recommending. Because these are all different areas of guidance that we are seeing coming from both state and federal entities. I've looked at the CDC guidance that the speaker was referencing, where they have these check boxes where it says recommended and other areas may be considered, but I think you need to look at the document as a whole. It says numerous times that the CDC recommends that people wear cloth face coverings in public settings and when around people who live outside of their households, with the only exceptions being if it's developmentally or medically not appropriate for a person to wear the face coverings. So I think the board just needs to be aware of the risks. Your local health director, I think, has been pretty clear that she thinks that face coverings ought to be a requirement, except in those cases where it's developmentally or medically not appropriate. And you all also need to be aware that your insurance carrier, Bayport, has sent a letter to school divisions that it represents, where it highly recommended you follow these guidance from these agencies, and if you're going to deviate in any way from them, you better have a good reason if you want Bayport to cover you should there be a lawsuit.
Thank you. Yeah, that's just why I think you go with a higher standard and address non-compliance. I know some other school districts throughout the state of Virginia have already informed parents that students that are not complying will be sent 100% virtual. That's the decision. That's the bold stance they're taking. I'm not saying that we have to go that far, but I do think we have to require face masks.